Today I want to show you a short presentation on why it's better to fund your own car than it is to fund a 401k. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a standard $100,000 example for both accounts. And I say accounts because a 401k is an account that's you typically set up for investment, for retirement, that earns an average rate of return. Okay? The type of account that I use is a guaranteed account, and this guaranteed account pays compounded interest, not an average rate of return. Big difference. Average rate of return goes up 1 year, down the next. Compounded interest is interest upon interest. It increases every single year for the rest of your life. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use an example out of these two accounts and show you why it's better to fund your own car than it is to fund a 401k. Now, using this $100,000 example, we're going to say that your 401k over a 5-year period, I'm going to use the 5 years to illustrate this example, earned about a 30% profit over a 5-year period. Not every year, but just overall over 5 years you earn 30%. 30% would be very good profit margin on a 401k for a 5-year period. So just again, for the sake of the example, we're going to say $100,000 with a 30% profit margin over 5 years gives you $130,000 in your account. Now, you need to buy a car. So what's going to happen is traditionally, you're going to go to the bank, you're going to borrow the money, and you're going to pay the bank back. So you go to the bank, you borrow, let's just use $40,000 for a car. That's kind of standard today for a nice car, maybe a luxury car. You went to the bank, you borrowed $40,000. They're going to charge you interest to borrow that money. We're going to say, well, let's just use 5%. 5% interest to borrow the money. So simple interest to borrow the money for the car, 5% on $40,000 is $2,000. So over a 5-year period, you have to pay the bank back $42,000 for the loan and the interest that you borrowed the money on. Now, $42,000 from $130,000 over the 5-year period is the difference from the money that left your pocket as opposed to the money that you made. So $130,000 minus the $42,000 is, that's $88,000. Okay, so basically over a 5-year period you're looking at a difference of about $42,000 for the loan and total profits of about $88,000 because you're backing out what you borrowed from the bank and paid the bank back. Okay, that money did not go into your pocket, it went to the bank. It made the bank money. They're getting rich off of your cash. So at the end result, we're looking at the full process and the end result here. What do we have overall at the end of that 5 years? You bought a car, your 401k made some money, you paid the bank back after borrowing money to buy the car, you basically have about $88,000 left in difference in your account. You still have the vehicle. Now the vehicle, let's just say that's worth about $10,000. Vehicle's paid off. This is the car. This is what you've got left. A paid for vehicle. Now at the end of that 5 years, do you need to go buy another car? Do you need to go to the bank and borrow more money? Same process all over again. Well, let's look at the difference using a guaranteed account. These accounts we teach people to bank with. Banking is a type of accounts where you can set up an account. They're guaranteed because they protect your principal and they pay guaranteed growth. Your money's growing every single year and it's safe. It can never go backwards. So with this type of account, we're going to say you're going to get 4% compounding growth every single year. So you're going to borrow that same $40,000 out of the account that you have set up. And that $40,000, again, cost to borrow that money. We're going to use the same 5%. So another $42,000. That's got to be paid back. Here's one of the differences. The $100,000 in this account is acting as collateral. So this money basically never leaves the account. So what you're doing is you're borrowing the money against your $100,000. So when you're pulling that money out, there's a cost. You're going to pay back the interest with the principal. You're going to pay back that same $42,000. But that money's basically going back into your account. You're paying this back into your account. This is how you create a pool of funds and treat it as a bank so you can borrow from and pay yourself back and collect the profits on this. Now here's a big difference. Because you didn't borrow from a bank, you borrowed from yourself, using your money as collateral, your money is still sitting there gaining interest every year, compounded interest. Remember, we've got the 4% here. that's growing that $100,000. You borrowed, but you're paying interest on that. So here's the difference in the two. Simple interest, again, $2,000 versus compounded. You're earning compounded. So let's look at that same 5-year example. Year one is this. At the end of year one, you're going to have $104,000. At the end of year two, basically, it's compounding on the balance, so you're going to have $108,000. Now, I'm not going to add up the 100 spot because it's just going to get too confusing with all the little numbers in there, and I'm going to stick with more of the larger round numbers. We're basically going to say that it's $4,000 capital increase each year. So year three, same thing, another 4,000, 112, 116, 120. That's your 5 years. Your money earned compounded growth every single year for 5 years. You now have a $120,000 balance year 5. So let's back everything out. You paid back the $42,000, and that's it with interest, the 5%. Now, but that went back into your account, so that never left your life. That money's basically staying in your pocket. You did pay the 5% interest, which is $2,000. So let's minus that off. That brings your profit margin down to 118. The true cost to borrow the money is eliminated. There's a cost to borrow it, but because there's a compounding curve here, this curve says you're going to pay this money back to your account. And it's increasing every single year. So you can see as the money still grows while it's out of the account, it gets paid back. So now at the end of that 5 years, not only do you have your money back in your account, you've got a $118,000 balance, you also have the car that's paid for. So the difference is $88,000 with a paid off vehicle, which is a depreciated asset worth about $10,000, as opposed to $118,000, same $10,000 vehicle that's paid for, that same depreciated asset. This is where we're teaching you how to make money in depreciating assets. So you can see the difference. Quite a bit of difference, right? Where's the benefit from? It's going to be on this side. The difference here is the information that you're getting. You've been sold information, which is in a traditional sense, and this is what I call a broken business model. That's a whole other presentation altogether. Right now we're going to stick with this one. But this is what you and I and everyone else out there in America is sold today. How to put your money in a qualified plan and how to go to the bank and borrow from them and pay them back with interest. And who's getting rich off of that? The banks are, not us. Here we're teaching you to create a guaranteed account, take a pool of money and treat it as a bank yourself that's going to give you the ability to borrow from it and pay yourself back while it's growing for the rest of your life.